We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
welcome along to NUFC Matters. Those were the days. As always, George is here to give us his recollections on a season gone by. George, where are we going this week?
2009-2010. Interesting season.
Great stuff, George. Over to you.
Thank you. It's, in terms of what was happening elsewhere in the world, in the film world, it's sort of the music world first. Lady Gaga was top with with Poker Face, Black Eyed Peas with Got a Feeling, got Lady Gaga with Just Dance, and Sharon Cole Fight for This Love. So clearly straightforward music that people probably still recognise now. And at the cinema, if you're a picture goer, well, I'm amazed because I don't think I've seen one of these films. Inglorious Bastards is a war film which stirred things up. Up was a satirical film. Single Man gets very high ratings from the critics, but I have to say I never actually seen it myself. And a film called Bruno, which is about a gay Australian, which is bound to attract lots of attention. The Secret in Their Eyes, and 500 Days of Summer. Great, some good movies get high ratings, but I've got to confess, not seen a single one of them, which is unusual for me. And usually I've seen at least one or two of them, but that lot. But that was what was happening elsewhere in the entertainment world. And in our world, in football world, well, it was recovering from a disastrous season, the season before, into a season which very few of the pundits thought we would do anything. They were very, very critical of what was happening. We got Chris Hughton as manager, Chris Calderwood as the coach, 2 ex-Tottenham guys together, and Derek Lambias as the chairman of the chairman or managing director, I think as he preferred to be called. So it an interesting season, which we'll see how it pans out. And as usual with any club, but Newcastle as well, some of the strips this season I quite like. I quite like that one actually, but never mind. Lots of friendlies at the beginning: Shamrock Rovers, Darlington, Huddersfield Town, Leyton Orient. The Leyton Orient friendly was a disaster. Leyton Orient beat us 6-1. And I'm led to believe that there was almost a revolution in the dressing room by some of the senior players, notably a young man called Barton, who told his lesser colleagues, quite frankly, what he thought about them. And there are those that say that galvanised the dressing room for Chris Hughton. And I think that I firmly believe, as my opinion is, that was probably right, because they just didn't turn up in what was yes, it was a friendly, but that the attitude was stunk to high heaven. And Joey Barton let them know what he thought about it. Played Leeds United, then Dundee United, and that was a nice group of friendlies to play with, to get straight into the league program, which is started at West Bromwich Albion. Now, another team which the pundits were saying were likely to get promoted, but we all know what can happen when the pundits want. So we go to West Bromwich. Teams fairly picks itself. Harper, Taylor, Ryan Taylor, Colaccini, Stephen Taylor, Enrique, Nolan, Smith, Duff, Gutierrez, Carroll, and Amiobi. And on the bench, Tim Krul was there, and Barton was on the bench, and Niall Ranger was on the bench. Strangely, West Brom with Carson. He's been goalkeeper for everybody. He's still playing as number 3 or 4 for Manchester City. Carson, Olsen, Czech, Zuvaloon, Mattis, Koren, Greening, Brunt, Malumbu, Wood, and Moore. And a good side, and as I say, predicted by the pundits to be higher than we will be. Good game, good interesting game. To a fine night, says the commentator, as it was a 5:30 kickoff at the Hawthorns, and the front of their program, I couldn't get it. Actually, was a nice picture of Bobby Robson. I'm sure if I dig, I'll get one, but I couldn't get it in time to do this recording, this program, and a good game. Both sides having a real go, and a game in which Duff showed his skills, but the West Brom big centre forward called Mattis, centre half Mattis, comes up for a corner in 39 minutes and manages to beat Steve Harper at the near post, and we're 1-0 down at half time. But second half, the team come out and have a real go. And on 55 minutes, Nicky Duff is Johnny on the spot in the penalty area again, beats a couple of people, very, very close dribble as he was good at, and slots in the equaliser on 55. So we start our season with a draw at one of our biggest rivals, is if you believe what the pundits are saying. But it's an indication at least we're having a go. So the next game is Reading at home. And we come back to St James's Park. 37,000 in the ground. Or there was only 23,000 at West Brom, but for them that's probably a good attendance. Reading come to St James's, 37,000 in the ground, and anticipation is high. I remember certainly in the Gallagher corner, everybody was hoping that we would get off to a good start, and sure enough, we did. We got from the kickoff. We went for it. This is the important thing, and it was one of those games where Shola Amiobi showed what he could do when he was on form, because he was in such form. He was nearly unplayable, both in the air and on the ground. So it was no surprise in 38 minutes when Shola put the 1-0 up. the only surprise was that we were only 1-0 up. We could have been a lot more. And the second half started the same way. We attacked from the beginning, and the team: Harper, Taylor, and Josie, Nicky, Smith, Colaccini, Stephen Taylor, Nolan, Barton, Amiobi, Carroll, and Gutierrez were well on fire. Reading just weren't in this game. And then on 61 minutes, Shola made it 2-0. On 75 minutes, he completed his hat trick with taking a penalty and made it 3-0. So we get a very, very comfortable 3-0 win against Reading. Their team is full of people who've good, talented players, but some of them on the way out rather than on the way. People like Robson Carnu, for example, and Hunt and Harbour, good players, but on the wrong side of 30 to be a threat to us. And so a good 3-0 win against Reading. So we now off to Sheffield Wednesday, and it's
a home game, George. Yeah.
Sorry, yes. Yes, sorry, yes. Yeah, I'm looking. I picked two lots of papers up and I went to the next one. So yeah, it's a home game against Sheffield Wednesday, and the 43,000 at the gate this time. The previous win obviously has set things up. Now Sheffield Wednesday, another of the teams that the pundits are talking up, is possible championship contenders, and so we're looking for an interesting game. It's good that the crowds turned up. That really was important, and they got the reward. It was an interesting game. The only thing that didn't happen was that we didn't seem able to hit the back of the net, and the team was unchanged and on top form in this particular game. For me, was Colaccini. He dominated the defence and actually did a lot of important advances in a changing a defence to attack, and I thought was one of his better games for a long time. But Sheffield, despite battling hard, it was clear they weren't going to win this this game because Newcastle were just on top. The only thing that Newcastle couldn't do was hit the back of the net. They rattled the woodwork in every sense, and the Sheffield goalkeeper played out of his skin, and Wood it was at that time, and made life difficult for us. But we got off to a good start. It should have been better. And it was Johnny on the spot at the time, Shola Amiobi, that on 15 minutes that made it 1-0. Second half was one-way traffic, but still the inability to hit the back of the net was very concerning. But for the Gallagher corner and the St James's and January, a huge sigh of relief that we got a win and we're on our way into the top half of the league. We're now already sitting very nicely at third in the league, and starting to confound our critics a little bit because there's some good football being played, and we're getting off to a good start. The next game is away to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace always tidy football side. one or two players who are on the on the downside of the age for first team, but some interesting players like McCarthy, who for a long time we actually looked with and put a field in the defence. And of course, they had in their forward line Darren Ambrose, who was ours for a while, and talented lad, and Dye, who was always big, bustling, but a bit of skill, and made things difficult for defenders. So there were no mugs, and even on the bench, I mean, I think people like Tyne, who they bought from Manchester United, and Moses, who was a substitute, was regarded as an extremely talented player. We sent the same side we've been playing. Oh, no, we introduced Simpson at fullback because of injuries. So it was Harper, Simpson, Enrique Smith, Colaccini, Taylor, Nolan, Guthrie, Amiobi, Ryan Taylor, and Gutierrez. Ryan Taylor, in this instance, shown why he was such a useful player to have in the club, able to play either fullback position, and well able to cope with the demands of a midfield as well. Plus his ability to take free kicks, and so we go, and it's a brilliant start. We got a corner almost from the kickoff. It comes over, and who's there to head it in at the near post? But Nolan, and like manna from the gods, on 21 minutes, the Crystal Palace defence give a free kick on the edge of the box, and 21 minutes, Ryan Taylor makes it 2-0. Now the positive guys in the United following, of course, are looking for a hatful. But by the time second half came around, Crystal Palace had reorganised and clearly shut up shop to make sure it didn't get worse. And indeed, Darren Ambrose made life difficult a couple of times for Danny Simpson on that side. But there was never any way we were going to give this game away. It was ours, and that's where it was going to stay. So a nice 2-0 away victory, which helped to cement our position in the league, and indeed pushed you up to second place, which was so early in the season is very gratifying. Next game is the Cup, the Carlton Cup Carling Cup match against Huddersfield at home. It's the one everybody's expecting us to win, and the commentator on this thing's always got something extra than when he talks about conditions. You immediately look for the weather. Well, he tends to add other things in, like eventful. That's what he says, and eventful it was. I mean, we all, without doubt, thought that Huddersfield were just there for the taking. Well, we were wrong, because they just kept coming back. I mean, we should have shot away after Guthrie made it 1-0 on 36 minutes, and then Robinson on their side, ex Tottenham player, on 37 minutes equalised. Then to sort of put salt in the wound, 2 minutes later, we're stupid enough to give a penalty away by Jeremy. Jeremy gives the penalty away, and so the same Robinson steps up, and they're in the lead. And so we go in at half time 2-1 down, with people concerned of what was going to happen afterwards, but hoping above hope that we would come back. And the other interesting thing is there's only 23,000 in this game, which says what the fans think about the Carling Cup. The Carling Cup never sort of caught fire to lots of people. Anyway, it's still an interesting game and a one which is going well. So we're 2-1 down, and Jeremy on 48 redeems himself a little bit by equalising. But Rhodes, talented goal scorer, still, I think he's still playing actually back at Huddersfield. Scores again and they go back in the lead. Then Shola comes up with a penalty on 64, and then Nolan, right on 85 minutes, heads in from another corner. They make it 4-3. But a game which everybody was thinking, well, this is easy peasy. Well, it wasn't. Huddersfield weren't there just as Aunt Sally's. They were there to actually give it a game. And they had some dangerous players like Rhodes, who's a very talented player, and Robinson, the forward, who used to play for Tottenham. And Ainsworth, another talented player from who played for a lot of the Yorkshire sides, played for Barnsley and as well as Huddersfield. So a good cup win, which was a little bit more difficult than people anticipated. Next, we're at home to Leicester City in the league. Leicester are very, very good football inside, and no exception this time. It's a good end-to-end stuff when it starts, and the 0-0 at half time belies the standard of the play. The play was quite good. But there was no way anybody seemed to be able to find the net, and so it went on. The second half kicked off in the same sort of manner, and people were thinking, well, this is going to peter out to a 0-0. But then up steps Danny Guthrie on 52 minutes, and from a corner, a ball is knocked back towards the edge of the box, and Danny Guthrie just leathers it on the volley, and we go out 1-0 in the lead. And that's the way it stayed at the end. But for a game that was 1-0, it was a much better game than that, is what I'm trying to say. Both teams playing reasonable football and having a go. And Leicester City, tidy side, one or two names in the side which spark interest in the Gallagher, of course. So Waghorn, the centre forward, is an immigrant from not far from where we are, our deadliest neighbours. And Adams is another one who plied his trade in Teesside for a while. So there was an interest in the Leicester team, and Love is a dangerous winger of theirs who had a good reputation, and speedy, tricky, as he was in this game, but he didn't make a mark enough to get on the score sheet, which is what was important to us. The next game is a away game at Cardiff City, and everybody knows this is not going to be easy. Cardiff, again, a team that's talked about as possible championship rivals, but at the moment they're not, because they're only sitting about 15th or 16th in the league, which is going in the wrong direction to be looking as championship possibilities. And incidentally, the Leicester City game at home before, the attendance was 39,000. We'll go to Cardiff, and there's 26,000 at this game at Cardiff, and everybody thinks we should get the points here, the 3 points. A tough game. Cardiff aren't going to give this away. They have a good side, brilliant goalkeeper in Marshall, who's got a good reputation. Hudson and Capaldi, Quinn, Gerard, Ray, Whittingham, who's a very dangerous player. Burke, Ledley from Tottenham, and a young man called Choprat, centre forward, who we might know. And Boothroyd, another dangerous attacker in the side. So they're no mugs. You can see why people thought they would do well. But it's a fairly even Steven in the first half. It takes a goal from a corner. Ball bobs around in the penalty area like a pinball, and Colaccini's the last one to get a touch. And in we go at half time, 1-0. Second half is very, very entertaining, but nobody looks like they're going to score, and that's how it pans out. We end up 1-0 winners. And our team, just for interest, is Harper, Simpson, Colaccini, Stephen Taylor, Enrique, Guthrie, Barton Smith, Ryan Taylor, Nolan, and Ranger. And on the bench, Peter Lovenkrands and Nicky Butt. There was some interesting bookings during the game, shall we say. Tim Krul got booked. Kadar, the Hungarian centre half that we've got booked when he came on, and Loa. It was handbags at 10 paces, but added a bit of excitement to the game. But there was no way we were going to lose it once we got in front. So that's a good win, away win for us in the league, and helps us to cement our position as second top. And next we're away to Blackpool, a Wednesday night game at Blackpool, and people hoping that we could keep this run of form going. Unchanged team, looks good on paper, but Blackpool got some tidy players, but they're players who are kind of on the way down rather than on the way up. Like the big centre forward Ewell, who used to be Wimbledon, and Ormerod and Vaughan, Adam, Craney, good players, but shouldn't be in the same mould as our lot. But they actually play very well indeed. It's a good game. Andy Carroll on 40 minutes volleys way into a 1-0 lead, and then just at half time, Ormerod, their big striker, makes it 1-1. We go in at half time 1-1. And second half, well, both teams could have scored, but they didn't. In the end, only one did, and that happened to be Blackpool. So we go down 2-1, and that's how it stayed right to the end. We end up with a 2-1 loss, which is disappointing, and dents our league position a little bit. However, it keeps. We're in third, which isn't a mile away, and we're off to a home game against Plymouth Argyle, and it's a game which we should win. I mean, Plymouth are nearly bottom of the league; they're 19th. So, if we're going to do anything, we really should. 43,000 on the ground, and an unchanged team, and that's how it goes. Stephen Taylor from a corner in 6 minutes puts win the lead. Going along very nicely, 1-0 at half time. More of the same in the second half, but a silly mistake in the defence on 50 minutes. And Jewett, their big centre back, managed to poke a ball home from a corner to make it 1-1 on 50 minutes. And then on 61 minutes, the rescue comes through in the shape of Kevin Nolan. On 61, scores a typical bustling goal for him. Then on 84, and another Andy Carroll special, a volley from the edge of the box, and makes it 3-1. So we end up comfortable winners in this game, and heave a sigh of relief because we're back going in the right direction. But the reality is we shouldn't even be in danger with a team that's 19th in the league, and that good win puts us back up to second in the table, which is everybody's delighted about, of course. The crowd, 43,000, which is considering what championship, it's not bad, but it's good that the fans are getting behind the team. So next we have Carling Cup round 3 against Peterborough, and we're away at Peterborough, and they're at home, always a bustling side, always a side that's going to cause problems. We have this slight changes in the team. Tim Krul's in goal, and Tavernier comes in at fullback, who's we now see as Rangers captain in Scotland and doing very well for himself. Ryan Taylor, young Donaldson comes in, Stephen Taylor, Ben Tozer, another young player comes in, and Loa, Guthrie Ranger, Vukic, another youngster coming in, and Lovenkrands, and Peterborough, one or two notables in the side. Lewis in goal, Martin Morgan, a defender from Manchester United initially, Coots, Boyd, McLean, and Michael Smith were the 3 main attackers. Michael Smith, a very dangerous, quick forward, always a danger. And indeed, I think there was a period when he was playing really well that we actually looked at him. But anyway, it's a good game that both teams having a go, and I think the result brought some criticism for the manager, of course, because he played a lot of youngsters in this side. And within 20 minutes, Michael Smith showed out why he's dangerous and made it 1-0. And then on 31 minutes, Williams repeated the doors, and we're 2-0 down at half time. We battled back in the second half, but not enough to make an impression on the Peterborough goal, and so we end up with a 2-0 defeat in the Carling Cup. So that's the end of the Carling Cup for another year. And it midway through the second half, Chris Hughton substitutes Alan Smith, Jeremy, and Nolan for the 3 of the youngsters. Actually, right on the hour, but it was too little, too late, and they didn't. They weren't able to pick it up sufficient to trouble Peterborough, who by now were sort of battling down the hatches and protecting a 2-0 lead. So that's a 2-0 lead loss in the Carling Cup, which is not very clever, but it is what it is. But as I said, my recollection is that Chris Hughton got a little bit of criticism because of the team he picked. He put so many youngsters in, and never mind. We come back to league game, and it's an away game at Ipswich, which is not far from Peterborough, really. And team Harper, Kashvili, Enrique Smith, Stephen Taylor, Colaccini, Nolan Butt, Carol Ranger, and Ryan Taylor. And interesting on the line, Marlon Hayward was on, Lovenkrands is on, and Ipswich Town. Well, we should be, even at Portman Road, we should be better for them. And again, another away program which I couldn't get, which is sad, because on the front of their away program they put a beautiful picture of Bobby Robson with the UEFA Cup that he won when he was at Ipswich, and it's a very nice picture, and I just couldn't get hold of it for one reason or another. Interesting how many of these sites where I take stuff off are now they're charging for the pictures or getting you to sign up to something, and I'm beginning to wonder if they watch what I'm doing and wait for us coming. Anyway, at Portman Road, Ipswich have Wright, Rosinha, Bruce is a name we know. Balkenstein, Delaney, Walters, Trotter, Colback's a name we know. Ledbetter, Edwards, and Priskin. And it's well, it couldn't get off to a better start. We pinned them in their own half, and people are wondering when Devil were going to score. And in a half an hour, Kevin Nolan makes it 1-0. 2 minutes later, Kevin Nolan makes it 2-0. And then on 34 minutes, Ryan Taylor makes it 3-0. So we go in at half time 3-0. Clearly a game that's ours, and they're not going to give that away, I don't think. One-way traffic in the second half. The only amazing thing is that we don't score a hatful of goals. But on 51 minutes, Kevin Nolan makes it his hat trick and 4-0 to us, and a very, very happy trip to Portman Road. Even the guy who writes this, who says the conditions memorable, he says, well, it certainly was that, because we from start to finish, this was our game and looked like it. And for the first time, I think people began to believe some of the hype coming out of St James's Park, that we might be actually good enough to win this championship, because that win actually puts us in first place, puts us top of the championship. So then we're home to Queen's Park Rangers, and it's a interesting Queen's Park side. They're nearly rock bottom. We should be an easy peasy this, but it doesn't go like that in football, and perhaps it's just as well it doesn't. But within 10 minutes, the whole place is waking, because Watson is a dangerous forward, makes it 1-0 to QPR, and that's how we go in at half time. And everybody's hoping for a revival. Well, it takes until 70 minutes for it to be anywhere near the goal, and it happens to be Big Marlon Harewood who scores the equaliser. And everybody thinks, well, the last 20 minutes are going to be interesting. Well, they were, but not in the sense that we get goals. We played best and overran them, but couldn't get another goal. So it ended 1-1. Now our team, well, Harper, Simpson, Enrique, Buff, Kishvili, Taylor, Nolan, Smith, Carroll, Ranger, and Guthrie. And a side that should have won that game hands down, particularly after the previous game. But we just couldn't finish it off. 39,000 at the game, and a draw, but still leaves us in top spot in the championship. We're then home on Saturday to Bristol City, a side that's the bottom side. I mean, we shouldn't, this should be 3 points in the bag. Well, again, what we don't take into account, unfortunately, is the fact that nobody bothered to tell Bristol City that. And they came out absolutely on fire and caused us all sorts of problems in defence, but fortunately couldn't hit the net. But at the other end, neither could we. Now a team of Harper, Taylor, Simpson, Smith, Stephen Taylor, Kishvili, Guthrie, Nolan, Harewood, Lovenkrands, and Gutierrez should have been far too strong for Bristol, who were at bottom of the league. But Bristol just dug their heels in and put 10 men behind the ball and made life extremely difficult for us. It's disappointment, because the result, the 0-0, actually knocks us off the top spot in the championship, which we've been getting used to. So we now have an away game at Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, regarded as not regarded as championship team. In fact, they're just one off the bottom in the league when we go there. So everybody's thinking we should get something out of the game. but we just let ourselves down again. We go and strong team: Harper, Taylor, Enrique, Smith, Simpson, Kashvili, Guthrie, Nolan, Carroll, Haywood, and Lovenkrands. Well, we're just not in it, really. Forest overrun we, and we're lucky to survive as long as we did to 45 minutes. Last kick just before the half time whistle. Blackstock for Forest makes it 1-0. And after half time, it doesn't change. It doesn't look like we're going to get back in the ground, get in the game at all. With their side, with some well-known players. Camp, the goalkeeper, was a character. Gunter, Morgan, Wilson, Cohen, Anderson, McKenna, Majeski, Moosey, Tyson, and Blackstock. Blackstock and Tyson, two dangerous attackers, but shouldn't have been at the point where they were good enough to beat us. So, but they did. A 1-0 loss at Nottingham Forest, and that really cements the fact that we're off the top. We're back to number 2, not number 1 as we had been. 29,000 at the City Ground for that game. The next game we're away to Scunthorpe, a team we haven't played that many times, but hanging on to their like grim death to their place in this championship, and this another game where everybody thinks this, come on, shake yourselves. This should be ours. We should be winning this one. And well, what we think and what we don't think is two different things. We half time 0-0 because it's pretty dismal first half, and then after half time, Woodford, their big centre forward, makes it 1-0. Kevin Nolan equalises in 65 minutes. And then Woodford again at 71 minutes makes it 2-1 for Scunthorpe. And that's how it stays to the end. Dire stuff from both sides in terms of football. But even more so for us, because we never look like we're going to take this game off Scunthorpe. And they really were there for the taking. Some good players on their side, but like Byrne at fullback and Murphin in centre defence. McCann is well-known name up here. Woolford, the centre forward, and Hooper, a winger, who was always dangerous when he was younger, but shouldn't have been in the position to challenge us. But they didn't just challenge us; they actually beat us 2-1. So our hold on even second place looking a bit tenuous now in the championship. So we're now heading to Doncaster Rovers, another team that's down in the doldrums because they're not winning any matches, and it's at home. They come to St James's Park with not the best record, and again, this is third game in a row where everybody thinks, well, come on, this is 3 points just there for the taking. Well, we think that, but first half's even Steven, but then in the middle of the first half, their forward called Shields makes it 1-0. So we go in half time 1-0 down. And everybody's thinking, gosh, this is going to happen again. The bottom team's going to turn over as easily as that. And that's what it looked like until right into the second half, middle of the second half, 67 minutes. Andy Carroll gets a chance to unload from the edge of the penalty area, and he does. So at least we're 1-1. And that's how it looked like it was going to go. But Newcastle, for the last 10 minutes, really peppered Doncaster's goal. And then with almost the last kick of the game, 92 minutes, it says on here, Kevin Nolan makes it 2-1 and rescues the victory, which is really shouldn't be surprised. This is a game against this team that we should be be expecting to take, but we made really, really hard work of it. And our team, Harper, Ryan Taylor, Enrique Butt, Kadar, Kishvili, Guthrie, Nolan, Carroll, Harewood, and Guthrie, and Gutierrez rather. And it's a game we nearly threw away, and it was there for the taking. However, the 2-1 win at least stops the slide, and we're back looking at the right end of the league. And because of other results elsewhere, we end up back on top with that win. And so it's smiles all round, shall we say. And then the next game is the away game at Sheffield United, who are a team that's been predicted to be in the race at the end. And they're about fifth, but playing well. We're away to them, and no, it's not going to be easy. And we have our usual side: Harper, Simpson, Enrique, Smith, Colaccini, Kadar, Butt, Taylor, Ryan Taylor, Carroll, Nolan, and Gutierrez, and Niall Rangers on the bench, and Martin Harewood's on the bench. Sheffield United, Bennett, Walker, Morgan been with them a long time. Kilgallen, Tracy, Harper, Quinn, dangerous forward from Sheffield United, with them a very long time. Came to them from Manchester United, I believe, and Stuart, Henderson, and Evans. And that was the side that pundits were predicting would do well. Well, it was a good game, is the first thing to say. Both sides having a go, and but nobody could score. It was frustrating in that sense. So we went in at half time 0-0, and everybody thinking, well, is this going to peter out to a 0-0, or is someone Sheffield going to get a sneaky goal? Well, the sneaky goal was ours, as it happens, for a change. On 54 minutes, Andy Carroll shoots from the edge of the penalty area, a beautiful shot, but Morgan, who's centre back, gets in the way and deflects it past his own goalkeeper. So we get 1-0 on no goal from Sheffield United. And that's how it stayed till the end. A good 1-0 win away from home. But a fluky way to get it, but who cares about the flukes? We're winning, that's the important thing. And even more important, we're top of the league, and staying there. We're now at home to Peterborough United, side that just turned us over in the League Cup. And we know it's not going to be easy. And indeed, but once we start off, we have a goal this time, not like the last time. Gutierrez scores on 15 minutes. Andy Carroll on 18 minutes makes it 2. We go 2-0 at half time. And second half, we come out and have a go at them again. And well, in 52 minutes, Simpson scores the third goal. And Mikhail Smith, their dangerous forward, who we talked about before, gets a consolation just before the end to make it 3-1. But a good win, a tidy win this time, not one which was fluked or gifted in any way. It really was some good football played, and showed why we're being talked about as possible champions. And sigh relief all around, but back at the top and fixed at the top. The next game is away to Preston North End, and Preston aren't great shakes, but they're slightly above middle of the table, and they aren't going to give it away anyway. Same team for us: Harper, Simpson, Enrique, James Smith, Colaccini, Stephen Taylor, Guthrie, Nolan, Carroll, Haywood, and Gutierrez. Rangers on the bench again, and Lovercrans on the bench again. And Preston North End with some old stagers. Lonergan, their goalkeeper, has been around a while. Davidson at centre back, Sedgwick, Chaplow, Tong, who for a short while played with us. Parry, Brown, and Mello. Mello, a dangerous forward who played a lot of his football in Lancashire, but he actually is a Geordie, and a dangerous player at that. End-to-end stuff in the first half, both sides going for it, but nobody can hit the back of the net, so we're going to half-time 0-0, and it looks like it might even go that to the end, but then our mercurial in midfielder Kevin Dole comes in with a typical sneaky goal in at the blind side on a free kick from Simpson, I think it was. Yes, Simpson, and he outruns the Preston defence to make it 1-0 on 74 minutes. And once we get to that on that stage, there's no way we're going to give the that lead away or anything like that. So, despite all their efforts, Preston do put a lot of effort into it. It stays 1-0 to us, and rightly so. It was one of those games where we just weren't going to give it away, and we cement our position at the top of the league. We come home to a home game against Swansea City, a team that's not pulling up trees. This should be a straightforward victory, and we do. I mean, from the kickoff, it's our game. 8 minutes, Haywood scores from a Lovencrans corner, and then on 21 minutes, Lovencrans himself from the edge of the box makes it 2, and then another header from Haywood from a corner from the other side, and we're 3-0 up and coasting, and that's how it stayed till half time. People expect an avalanche of goals afterwards, but Swansea made some changes and kind of pulled themselves together and got 10 men behind the ball, made life difficult for us. But 3-0 it stayed, and we played very well. Swansea, a tidy side, a mixture of young and old players. One or two names, Cotterill and Allen, both been in football a long time. Cotterill with the Bristol clubs, and Allen with QPR and people like that. I think started his career at Tottenham Hotspur. So a 3-0 win cements our position at the top of the league, and followed up by another home game against Watford, and they are a tidy side, but shouldn't be a problem to us. And 44,000 in the ground, sitting there at top of the league, and Watford are mid-table at best. And from the start, it's clear Newcastle are going to go for it. Nothing of any note from Watford in terms of attack, even though they've got some good attacking players. And 20 minutes, Peter Lovencrans makes it 1-0. To send the 44,000 a while to get off to a start. And then at 83 minutes, our substitute, sorry, our substitute of the bench, Kedar comes on, and from a corner gets a second on 83 minutes. It's a too comfortable 2-0, but more comfortable than the 2-0 suggests, because there are enough chances to double that score and even more. So we, again, fixed firmly at the top of the league, thank goodness, is the important thing. People are starting to believe a bit now, and particularly in the press, those that were very critical when we started the season now beginning to get on side a little bit, because they can see that Chris Hughton's actually doing a good job. So next game's away to Coventry, a tidy side who are playing some good football. They're above middle, so they're not going to be a pushover. And from the off, we're having a go at this, and it's no surprise when the big surprise is we don't score right till half time. Last kick of the half, and Shola makes it 1-0, but it could have been 2 or 3 by then. Come out in the second half, and same thing. All the play, hit all the woodwork, and just can't put the ball in the back of the net. And then on 82 minutes, an absolutely classic Nile Ranger goal, brilliant dribble, easy slip in underneath the goalkeeper, and it made you hang your head nowadays and think, God, if he'd just played like that all the time and kept himself in a football mode than going the way he did, what a player he might have been. But those were the days, I'm afraid, as far as Nile Rangers concerned. Coventry, tidy side. Westwood, the goalkeeper, well known. Clark, Craney, Van Aanholt is somebody that we knew. Eastwood, Cork from Derby County. Gunnison, the Icelandic forward. Best, that's Leon Best, who used to be our best. And Morrison, a tidy player as well. So a good 2-0 win away from home, and cements us at the top of the league again. It's starting to the momentum to support Chris Hughton is there now, where it hadn't been before, and there's no doubt that he was well liked by the players and the thing. So we're now away to Barnsley on the Saturday. Barnsley, middle of the table, but always a fighting side. We're not, they're not going to give it away free. We're going to have to work hard for it, and so we do. Harper, Taylor, Enrique Butt, Stephen Taylor, Colaccini, Pancrate, Smith, Carol Nolan, and Gutierrez. So that it's a full, almost unchanged team. We go out from the off. 6 minutes, Kevin Nolan makes it 1-0, and we should have had more. But then, typical Newcastle on second half, we should be leading as well. Well, 52 minutes, we poor mark in a corner, and Alfredson, the Icelandic player for Barnsley, equalises. Then on 78 minutes, Marlon Harewood makes it 2-1 to us. Everybody thinks, well, that's it. But then, right at the death, 87 minutes, Hassel equalises 2-2. And so we end up with a 2-2 draw, which is disappointing, but at least it's not a defeat. Some interesting players in the Barnsley side, of course, is Steele, a goalkeeper who is Geordie, Hassel, Shotton, Moore, big defender called Ronnie Moore, who played a lot of years for Barnsley, and Alfredson, the Icelandic player, and Bogdanovic is a player that did well, but he was on his way out then. And of course, leading the line, none other than a man called Andy Gray, who was at the twilight of his career, along with the other Andy Gray. 2-2. At least we've got a point. We stuck at it. Could have been worse, but that draw meant that we kept our place at the top of the table, and we go to a Sunday match, the Tyne Tees Derby, as I call it. Middlesbrough come to St James's Park, and Middlesbrough are not at the top as we are. They're just about 7th or 8th, not really regarded as a danger, but they still have to be beaten, and no local game is ever easy, whether it be Tyne Tees or Tyne Weir. They always have that ups and the downs, and so we go to Middlesbrough on the Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff. I think there's people on here will know as the Middlesbrough games are always interest for me, because if we're all around, we tend to make a family day of it, because I've got family that live in Billingham, and quite a few of them are Smoggy supporters as well, and it being near Christmas as well is another good reason for everybody to go, including the girls who go shopping while we go to the football. Sorry, the Middlesbrough back at us. They visit us rather than make a weekend of it, and it's a good game. End-to-end stuff. 16 minutes Howard makes it 1-0 for us. Middlesbrough could easily have scored. I mean, Bent and Yates and Franks all had opportunities to score, but couldn't do it. And thank goodness. And so we go in at half time 1-0. Second half is more Newcastle's than Middlesbrough's. It's still a good game, but it is clear that we're not going to give this up. And right on the hour, Shulami will be a big header from the 6-yard in the 6-yard area from a corner, makes it 2-0. So we send the Smoggies home 2-0 losers, and firmly cement my position as number one in the championship now. We now away to Sheffield Wednesday, who are starting to play quite well and are up to about third, I think, in the league by this time, and so it's going to be a tough game at Hillsborough, and our team almost unchanged for the last few games. Harper, Simpson, Enrique, Butt, Colaccini, Stephen Taylor, Nolan, Guthrie, Amiobi, Haywood, and Gutierrez, and with Sheffield Wednesday, a mixture of young and old. Grant, their goalkeeper, well known. Pearce, the fullback, in the game a long time. Potter, O'Connor, Johnson, Tutgay, who they got from Derby, and Varney, a forward who played in a number of clubs, Blackpool, Derby again, but doing well for Sheffield Wednesday. It's an interesting game. Newcastle clearly up for it, and despite being up for it, of course, they leave the door open for Varney to sneak into a corner and make it 1-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. Then at 19 minutes, Kevin Nolan returns the favour and makes it 1-1. O'Connor, the fast, tricky winger that they got from Leeds, makes another go at it, and it's 2-2, and a good game, end-to-end stuff, but nobody looks like they're going to get the winner. So we come away 2-2, which is no disaster for us, but means that we're still where we hope to be at the top of the championship. So we're now coming home to a game against Derby County, and Derby are just above halfway in the league. Tidy side, playing good football, but shouldn't be troubling us. They have some dangerous players, but players that I know better than many of ours. So we go with an unchanged team: Harper, Simpson, Enrique, etc. And our side dig in. It looks like we're going to have a go for this one, but 48,000 in the ground. 0-0 at half time, and people around me were getting a bit restless because they could see it had 0-0 written all over it, and especially the way Derby were playing. They were very much 10 men behind the ball, and some of the more attacking players like Commons and Livermore, who were well-known attackers, hardly featured in our half of the field because they're so busy blocking things in midfield to stop us getting forward. It was one of those games you just knew. I just had the feeling it was going to be 0-0, and it was. That's how it ended, 0-0. And while it was disappointing for the crowd, at least it kept us in the position where we wanted to be. The next is an away game at Plymouth in the FA Cup third round, and this is a one everybody thinks, well, yeah, we're going to have a cup. This is a good start to a cup run. Well, unfortunately, it was some good football, good games, lots of chances, but nobody could put the ball in the net. It was so frustrating. And thank goodness for Tim Krul having his full concentration on, because there was a couple of times when Plymouth broke away and could easily have scored. But thanks to Tim Krul and his long arms and legs, he was able to make good saves. It's peculiar that it's one of those 0-0s with lots of entertaining football and end-to-end stuff and hitting woodworks and everything, but nothing going in the back of the net, which is so frustrating. Our side, slight changes for this by Chris Houghton, Ryan Taylor's back, Kadar's back, and Rangers in the team instead of just being a substitute. And Pancreat is in the team instead of on the bench. Plymouth, LaRue, the goalkeeper, had been around a while. Arneson, the fullback, Barker, Sawyer, Judge, Summerfield, well known in football circles. Fletcher, Clark, Fallon, a very dangerous attacker, and Mackey, a Scottish attacker who was played well for them. But it's at 0-0 at half time, and 0-0 is how it stays. But at least we've got the replay to look forward to if it's St James's Park. Home Park's an interesting ground if ever anybody's been. Very traditional football ground. There's a massive car parks in which on match days they allow stalls for people to sell things, that sort of thing. Anyway, Plymouth come back to St James's Park on the Wednesday night, 7:45 kickoff, 13th of January. Snow free, says the commentator on this sheet. But we go from the off. You can see they've had a leg up before the start, and they're going to take Plymouth. And the player that's going to do it is, by the look of it, is Peter Lovenkrands. He's on fire in this game, pace to burn, and no doubt that he was always going to be a thorn in their side. 10 minutes, he runs it through their defence and slots the ball underneath the goalkeeper. 40 minutes just before half time, repeats the doors, make it 2-0 at half time. And second half, the team's just as solid. And on 72 minutes, Peter Lovencrans gets a hat trick with a shot from the edge of the penalty area after the ball had been bouncing around like a pinball from a corner for quite a long time beforehand. And so we go through to the next round of the FA Cup with a 3-0 victory, and one that Peter Lovencrans will remember. The Plymouth side was exactly the same as the side that played in the first game in the cup. We're now home to West Bromwich Albion, and we need to peg them back. They're one of the challengers for the top of the league. So it's in our own interest to make sure that this doesn't happen, but nothing happens here. Good game from both sides. The West Brom attackers Olsen and Bednar causing a great deal of concern to our back four, and it's no surprise when Olsen scores in 20 minutes, then Guthrie equalises on 25. So we go in 1-1 at half time. Then on 54 minutes, just after half time, Peter Lovencrans makes it 2-1. But then Bednar, the dangerous Danish forward, makes it 2-2, just 10 minutes before the end. It's a hectic 10 minutes. Newcastle trying their hardest, but West Brom determined to hang on to it and defending very, very deeply indeed, with 10 men behind the ball. And a 2-2 draw is enough to keep with the top of the league and keep West Brom out of our sight at that particular time. And it's next game is the FA Cup fourth round, and we're away to, guess who? West Bromwich Albion. Strange how the cup draws sometimes do this. You feel as though you're playing the same team for 6 weeks and it's only a couple of games, but West Brom fancied to have a cup run, even though we're championship sides, and we go with our own hopes quite high, but high or not, Olsen and Dorrans, dangerous midfielder Dorrans, score in 17 and 31 minutes to make it 2-0 at half time. Everybody hopes we're going to get out of that, and sure enough, 62 minutes, Andy Carroll makes it 2-1. But then Dorrans comes back again with a penalty, and then Thomas, their dangerous midfielder, scores on 76, makes it 4. Then the death, 91 minutes, Andy Carroll scores another consolation to make it 4-2. But that's the end of our cup run for that season, which was a pity because it looked like we might do something. So we're now home to Crystal Palace and desperate to get back on winning ways, cement that first place, and we come to it with an unchanged side. Harper, Ryan Taylor, Enrique Smith, Colaccini, Williamson, Guthrie, Nolan, Carroll, Lovencrans, and Gutierrez. Williamson always, I think, a centre back that was underrated. I think he's a better player than people give him credit for. It's sets off at a even Steven in the first half. Then on 20 minutes, a knockdown by Andy Carroll is dived at by Palace defender Derry, who deflects it past his own goalkeeper and makes it 1-0 to us for half time. Second half, same end to end, but nobody looked like they're scoring. And then right at the death, 93 minutes actually, it says on here, Niall Ranger scores another mouth-watering goal, is the only way to describe it. Clearly, such a talented player that we didn't get more out of him is a tragedy. But he managed to get that and makes it 2-0 Palace. And of course, that's just well and truly cemented at the top of the championship. Next game is Leicester City, and we're away to Leicester City. They're another side that's pushing to be amongst the title chasers, but pushed as they might. We've got the talent in my view to withhold them and better them is the real answer. The last home game, by the way, 38,000 in the ground. This Leicester game, 30,000 for Leicester, which was quite a good attendance for them. And it's a fascinating game. Two good sides having a real go at this particular game. But the same problem has happened in one or two games. Nobody able to put the ball in the back of the net. Very frustrating. I mean, the Leicester side is Morrison, Hobbs, Brown, Burner, Gallagher, Wellens, King, Oatley, Fryatt, and Waghorn. Very good side. Now our side's unchanged. It's been nearly the same all the time, except Ron Williamson's in now instead of with our centre backs. But we just can't. We could do everything except put the ball where it needs to be. And while a 0-0's not the end of the world, it's a bit disappointing when we're at the top and playing so well, not to be able to get a single goal. So then we're home to Cardiff City, and everybody's really Cardiff are rock bottom at this. They're really struggling to be just off the bottom. Haven't been tipped for good things at the beginning of the season. 3 minutes, Carroll. 6 minutes, an own goal from Gypsies. Carroll on 15 minutes, and we go in at half time, 3-0 up. And everybody's thinking, well, is this going to be a cricket score? Well, it's not a cricket score, but we certainly carry on where we left off in the second half. 69 minutes, Lovenkrands gets a fourth. And then 82, Lovenkrands gets a fifth. And almost the last kick of the game, Wildig for Cardiff scores as consolation goals. And we run out 5-1 winners. For once, we performed how the form book said we should and made a good job of it. I mean, Cardiff, some talented players like Kennedy and Burke and Whittingham, who've been in McCann, who've been around a while, but they just couldn't hold Newcastle that day. And as you gather from the scorers, it was a day when Peter Lovenkrands showed what he was capable of. And so we're nicely set at the top of the league. We're now away to Derby, Derby County. They're just above middle, but we still should be able to get something out of that. The last Cardiff game, 45,000 at that at St James's. We'll go to Derby, and while they're playing well, we still should be in a position to take the points at Pride Park. They're not in the same class as us in that sense. So we send our strongest side. There's a slight change. Van Aanholt at full-back because of injury, and they have a strong side as well, with names well known: Bywater, Hunt, Barker, Buxton, McElvely, Green, Savage, Pearson, Tonge, Hulse and Commons. Hulse and Commons, two dangerous attackers, and Tonge as well. But they shouldn't be, taking us to the cleaners, but they do. I mean, they just everything they touch seems to go for them, and everything we touch just doesn't. The opposite. We can't even seem to get a rebound, never mind anything else. And very depressingly, on 40 minutes just before half time, big Rob Hulse, centre forward, makes it 1-0. After half time was a penalty, and Commons takes that to make it 2. And on 64 minutes, Ricky Barker makes it 3. So a 3-0 defeat, very, very depressing for the supporters and for the management, I'm sure. At a game where everybody thought we should win. However, it's knocked us off top spot. We're second, but still in a promotion spot. But we need to recover that as best we can. We go to another away game at Swansea City, and we hopeful that against a team that's well below the halfway. We should be able to get something out of the game. Well, Swansea give it all they've got. It's their home game, and Cotterill, their dangerous attacker, and Cucci, somebody we know, Allen, Dyer, Orlandi, Pratley, Beeson, Monk, Tate, Williams. A tidy side at Swansea, but it shouldn't be so tidy that they trouble us. Well, 1-0 on 56 minutes. First half was something and nothing, because nobody could hit the back of the net. But Cotterill on 56 makes it 1-0. And then, just as we think we're going to lose the game altogether, on 88 minutes with a couple of minutes left, Andy Carroll, the blinder from the edge of the box, makes it 1-1. And everybody heaves a huge sigh of relief. But could have been better. Could have been better. We had the makings of a side that should have beaten Derby quite easily. Swansea rather, quite easily. Then we're home to Coventry City, who, good football inside, gave a lot of trouble when we went there, with various attackers that we knew, like Leon Best, who used to be ours, and but the guys are up for it, and the big surprise is that we don't take the lead earlier. It takes, I suppose, a kick up the backside by Coventry when their Morrison scores in just 15 minutes. But then after that, Newcastle really have a go at them. Peter Routledge, particularly on the wing, doing some of his mazy dribbles and deep crosses, which are always effective. And on 37 minutes, he also scores the equaliser. 53 minutes, Carroll heads in another, and then Lovencrans with a penalty on 70 minutes. And then Ryan Taylor on 92 minutes gets a free kick and does his customary over-the-wall stuff to make it 4-1. So very, very good victory. Get back on the winning trail, and cementing us nice and firmly at the top of the championship. We're now heading towards the home game against Preston. Now, Preston give us a fairly hard time down there, and we're expected to do the same here at St James's, and it didn't pan out like that. It was one of those games where Newcastle decided it was theirs and went for it. 3 minutes, Lovenkrands puts her in the lead. And could have been another 3 or 4 goals by half time. 55 minutes, Kevin Nolan gets a customary blindside at the near post and makes it 2. And then Ryan Taylor, free kick, 90 plus 1 minutes, it says here, makes it 3-0. So a game that was supposedly we thought might be really tough with their players like Sedgwick and Miller causing us all sorts of difficulty. It didn't pan out like that. Newcastle just were determined to have this one, and they did 3-0. So a very, very comfortable win and a comfortable way to go back to the top of the league. 46,000 at the game, and well received because they did play so very well in this game, and people, supporters appreciated that. They've seen some fairly dour stuff with some of these 0-0s, which, and some of the losses that we really should have been winning, but that game we did as we were supposed to. We played to the script. Nice away trip next to London to Vicarage Road to Watford for the return game with Watford, and Newcastle feeling fairly much unchanged team. Van Aanholt has kept the left back position. Other than that, it's Harper, Simpson, Van Aanholt, Smith, Colaccini, Williamson, Nolan, Guthrie, Carroll, Best, and Gutierrez. Watford, some tidy players, Lansbury, who, Spurs, Taylor, Spurs, Eustace from Sheffield, Graham Helgeson, another Icelandic player. A tidy side, but only in mid-table. Newcastle are going to have a go. And on 4 minutes, Colaccini at a corner, standing, and the ball just drops to his feet and he just taps it in. And then it's end-to-end stuff with Watford just missing a number of chances, particularly Eustace and Graham, the forwards, dangerous forwards. 50 minutes, Andy Carroll gets the ball on the edge of the box, and then Andy Carroll in his own way just turns and wallops it in the bottom corner without any warning at all, leaving the Loach, the Watford goalkeeper, chasing shadows. There's no way he was going to get to that ball. It was hit so hard. So a 2-1 win at Watford, which lets us sit nicely again where we want to be at the top of the league. And the next game is Barnsley, and we know how tough they can be, but at home it shouldn't be, and it isn't. 45,000 at the game, and at last the team plays like champions. Lovenkrands on fire again, but 1-0 at half time because Lovenkrands gets a penalty on 44 just before half time. Carroll being pushed off the ball, and then on 48 he makes it 2. Guthrie on 50 minutes makes it 3, and 60 Gutierrez makes it 4. 69 Guthrie makes it 5, and then on 71 Kevin Nolan makes it 6. Everybody's rejoicing that when Bogdanovic, the Barnsley dangerous forward, gets a consolation on 83 to make it 6-1. But a very, very important win, and cementing us well and truly as the championship contenders. Next game is the away Tyne Tees derby at Middlesbrough. a game which we should win. Middlesbrough barely mid-table at this point of the season. And the team have a go. 16 minutes, Lovenkrands puts you in the lead. Robson for Middlesbrough equalises on 36 minutes. And then, to shock everybody, McDonald, their left-sided player, attacker, makes it 2-1 to Middlesbrough. It looks like we might lose this one. But then on 82 minutes, Andy Carroll, blockbuster from the edge of the box, makes it 2-2. Good game. That's how it stayed. But not a disaster to get a draw. But keeping us where we want to be in the league, and that's at the top. But an interesting and a good football game, that particular derby match. And we're now at home to Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe, who made life so difficult for us when we went to their place, but they come to St James's. They shouldn't be a problem to us, and they're not. We go off. Andy Carroll's like a house on fire. 10 minutes, he scores and puts us in the lead. Lovenkrands on 22 because Scunthorpe just couldn't handle Lovenkrands' speed. So we go in half-time 2-0. Then 55 minutes, Andy Carroll makes it 3. It could have been double that if they'd taken their chances. Unchanged team, Harper Simpson and Ricky Nolan, Colaccini, Routledge, Guthrie, Carroll, Lovenkrands, Gutierrez. And Routledge is now winning the fans over on the right side of the attack. Scunthorpe, two dangerous players, Togwell and Woodford, try their best, but they try a bit too hard because both are booked just before the end for going in a bit hard on, or both went a bit hard in on Colaccini. But a 3-0 win, which is great and cements the position at the top of the league very, very nicely. And we're next away to Bristol City. Good football inside, not an easy side to turn over on their own pitch. So we go there with an unchanged team, Harper Simpson, Enrique, etc. And on the bench, Tim Kroll, Ryan Taylor, Nicky Butt and Niall Ranger. Bristol City, some dangerous players in. Nyatanga, a very, very big defender, Orr and Elliott. Hartley, Skuse, dangerous attacker, McAllister, Haynes, and Maynard. Maynard, a very, very dangerous left-sided attacker. Always puzzles me why he was never a success in the Premiership. He was always a success in the lower leagues, playing outstanding for lots of teams, but he was with Bristol on this particular day. And we think, we're going to get something out of this. Well, we need to think again, because from a corner, Nyatanga, their big defender, makes it 1-0. And then the Mickey Maynard I've just talked about makes it, on 44 minutes, makes it 2-0. And it looks like we might actually lose this one, having really should have been in a position to win it. However, a great Gutierrez solo goal on 71 makes it 2-1. And then a Carroll solo on 75 makes it 2-2. So we come back to St James's with a 2-2 victory again, making sure that we're where we should be at the top of the division. Next game is away to Doncaster Rovers. They're struggling at the very bottom of the league. We really have a chance to win this and put a stamp on the league. We go with that intention. However, we do everything but put the ball in the net, 0-0 at half time. No threat from Doncaster at all. Second half looks like it's going to go the same way until on 79 minutes. Andy Carroll scores the sort of goal that made Liverpool want him, I think. He gets the ball about 35 yards away from the goal, makes progress to about 10 yards, just outside the penalty area, and unleashes a cannonball that goes into the top corner. And it actually sticks in the stanchion at the top of the net. It's so precise. So there's 59 minutes and we've got a 1-0. There's no way Doncaster are going to trouble when we see out this away victory very comfortably. The Doncaster side, some good old stages in. Sullivan, the goalkeeper, ex-Wimbledon. Oster, in midfield, ex-Everton. Hayter, ex-junior of ours. And Sharp, who was starting to make a name for himself as a goal scorer, and ends up playing at Sheffield United in the Premiership and playing very well. So a 1-0 win for us after that Carroll blockbuster, and sending Doncaster down to the bottom and fixing us firmly on the top. So we now have a home game against Nottingham Forest. The Forest are just above the relegation zone, but form improved immaculately immensely in the last 4 or 5 games, and not going to make it easy. So they come to us, and we really should have no problem. Well, we should never think like that, because they dig their heels in, and the first half is 0-0, very, very dour 0-0. No chance anybody's going to score goals in those conditions. Then second half, Newcastle much brighter, and a very bright Shola on 71 minutes. Side foots a cross in from Lovenkrands, and towards the end, in fact, right at the end, 91 minutes, Enrique scores a typical goal after a very, very long run down the left by himself. And so we take Nottingham Forest 2-0, and that's a good victory for cementing position at the top. Forest with some really good young players and old players like McGoldrick, who's only just on his way out of football now. Earnshaw, Welsh international, and McCleary, good talented players from Premiership, never mind Championship, but never in a position to challenge us for this. This was definitely our game, definitely. So we're well and truly got hold of the top of the league now. We have a visit from Peterborough, who always seem to be able to give us bother. We're going to Peterborough, and they always give us bother, like we did in the Cup and the other game, the game at St James's. It was always nip and tuck, and it looks like it's going to be the same this time at Peterborough at London Road. Looks like it is 11 minutes, and that dangerous attacker Green makes it 1-0. Fortunately for us, on 45 minutes, Kevin Nolan pulls one back, makes it 1-1. And just after half time, Joey Barton on 48 minutes gets an occasional goal. He does make it 2-1. And Dickinson of Peterborough makes it 2-2. And then Amiobi, 69, makes it 3-2. So we're going to come away with a 3-2 victory away from home, which is really deserved. They played really well, and were determined they weren't going to lose this one against a very, very determined Peterborough side. London Road Ground has interesting history. The size of the pitch and so on was modelled on the old Highbury, apparently, and they planned to build another Highbury in Peterborough if they got the chance, but they were never that successful. But apparently the pitch was exactly the same dimensions as the pitch at Highbury. Some useful information for you. But what was important is a victory away from home, and now beginning to think, even people outside of Newcastle beginning to think that we might actually win this championship. Now Sheffield United, they come to St James's, dangerous side, as we already mentioned, but Cresswell, their dangerous forward, who needs to be watched on 10 minutes, 1-0, so everybody gets the jitters. But then right on half time, there's a penalty. Andy Carroll's pushed off the ball by one of their big defenders, and Lovenkrands makes it 1-1 from the spot. The second half, Sheffield are pinned back, and we're really having a go at them. Then on 73 minutes, Kevin Nolan makes it 2-1, and despite some odd scares in defence, we that's how it ends up, 2-1 winners, and we never looked in any danger in this game, and despite the fact that we frightened ourselves to death with the early goal from Sheffield, and some odd little tricks and near misses by Williamson, Cresswell, and Bartley. They're dangerous attackers, but not dangerous enough to make a difference to the result of the match. So 2-1 win at home, keeping us where we want to be. And next game is a home game against Blackpool, who'll give us such a torrid time at Blackpool. We owe them one. It's the way to describe it. And so we do. I mean, it's a game where we go from the off. Gutierrez on 12 minutes. Carroll on 36 minutes. We go in half-time 2-0. Ormerod, their dangerous attacker, on 60 minutes scores to make it 2-1. But then Nolan on 62 makes it 3. And Routledge on 77 makes it 4. So we're 4-1 winners at St James's Park against Blackpool. And the crowd's nearly 48,000, which is good and should at least be, because they're playing some good football now and look like possible champions. So that's Blackpool. The next game is away to Reading, a side that's in the bottom 4, could easily be relegated. 23,000 at the game, and well, we give it a go. Is the short answer to it. From the very kickoff, it's quite clear the plan was to use Routledge's tricks on the wing to make an impression against Reading, and he did. He had them bemused, and in 20 minutes he laid on a sitter for Nolan, who blasted in a cutback from Routledge, and then on 42 minutes they repeat the dose. Routledge to Nolan again, and bang, it's 2-0 at half time, and looks like we're coasting. And even in the second half, Reading didn't look like they were going to come back. But there is sloppiness in the defence on 72 minutes, and Danny Simpson puts a ball in his own net. So it's 2-1. So we'll get a bit of a sweat on for the last 10 minutes, but never any fear that we're going to lose this one. So a good 2-1 victory away from home. The Reading side, some names we know: Frederici, Griffin, Bertrand, Pierce, McDuff, Tab, Howard, Keeby, Signesson, Gunnarsson, and Long, Shane Long, who's been around a long time and only recently, I think, retired, comes and there's a bit of a sweat on it the last 10 minutes, but it's our game. They're not going to give this away. So a 2-1 away victory, which is great, and sees us well and truly ensconced at the top of the league. And we go for yet another game against Plymouth. Remember, we've already played them in the cup and a cup replay, and we had the first game, and now we've got the second game at Plymouth. The crux of this one is the win tonight, and we're up. Well, it doesn't matter what happens elsewhere. A victory in this game, and we're up. And conditions, the reporter reports, balmy. Well, it was, because at the end of the game, when it was clear that we were going to go up, the Plymouth supporters joined in with ours and celebrated. It was really an unusual moment in football. We've always had a fairly warm rapport with Plymouth, and me personally as well, because my family, because of the naval connections, that's another place in the country they used to like to go to. But it was unusual. It wasn't just a polite applause. They went on the pitch with ours and celebrated quite warmly, and that was nice to see in football. I always think that if you get that kind of thing going, it does everybody a lot of good. Anyway, the game itself, well, it was Routledge again. He just mesmerised Plymouth, laid one on for Carroll in 20 minutes, and then on 28, danced through the defence, made it 2-0. And the second half, we just coasted to the end, to what was a victory to give us the promotion that we wanted. Teams that played well, Plymouth had some good old players in, but a young Wright Phillips made his debut for them, and of course his father is Ian Wright, who's ex-Arsenal and England star, who's now prominent commentator and Alan Shearer's best mate. But 2-0 and promotion sealed is the big story in that one. Next game is Ipswich at St James's Park, where people can get the chance to fans can celebrate with the team. We 26 minutes, Andy Carroll puts you in the lead, and nearly 53,000 at this game to celebrate the return of the champions, which is nice. Typical of us, Carroll scores on 26. Ipswich score through Wickham, Rokerite Wickham, 42 minutes. Amiobi on 84 thinks, we've got a 2-1 victory. Well, hold your breath, boys, because on 94 minutes, their dangerous attacker called Walters makes it 2-2. So we can't even record the record crowd with a win, but nevertheless we don't lose. It's a 2-2 draw, which seals all our home games. And our last game of the season is an away game at QPR, and it's a game that clearly we don't want to lose and have a go for it. 0-0 at half time, but shouldn't have been. We didn't take the chances. But then we second half, we with the help of Lovenkrands and Routledge, mesmerised QPR. They should have been several down by then. So on 71 minutes, Lovenkrands himself scores the goal that matters, and we end up 1-0 winners. The QPR side, of course, has some interesting names in, like Peter Ramage at fullback, and Cook, Simpson, Priskin, all players that we've known. But Peter Ramage was the one that matters. And interesting enough, is back on the staff as a coach and staff now at St James's. So an end of a season which we weren't supposed to do very much, but one which we did. We did more than hold our own, and really had a go at winning the thing. When Chris Hughton was, I never thought got enough credit for this, because we at the end we didn't just win it. We romped home. West Brom were our biggest danger, and they were second with 91 points. We had 102 points. I mean, 10 points lead at the top is something to crow about. And then the others, Forest 79, Cardiff 76. Interesting, Cardiff were predicted to be at the top at the beginning of the season. Had a terrible first half of the season. When they came here, they were in the bottom three. And then suddenly, in the latter part of the season, went berserk and got back up to fourth place. So, interesting season. A lot of people didn't think we'd come back first time. Well, we did, folks. We did.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a couple of other talking points. Kevin Keegan was awarded £2 million damages by the Employment Tribunal for constructive dismissal. Of course, people who watched the last show will remember that Kevin departed Newcastle.
Yes.
Chris Hughton's reward through this season was being offered a permanent manager's contract as well until the end of the 2010-2011 season, and Mike Ashley announced that he'd taken the club off the market and intended to invest a further £20 million. And in January, Northern Rock signed a new 4-year sponsorship deal with Newcastle, which was estimated, get this, to be worth 1.5 and £10 million. And when you think about the deals that this current ownership are signing, that myth's farcical.
Yeah.
And the other talking point was the Puma.
We get more for the badge on our sleeve now than in that deal.
Puma signed a deal as well to become the club's official supplier from the start of the following season. But George, as always, great stuff, comprehensive, brought back some great memories. That, and after last season's woe, this season was a blessing, I bet, to review, and lots of happy memories, goals galore, and the promotion.
And the thing at Plymouth was a highlight for me. For away supporters to stay in the ground.
Yeah,
and celebrate with the winners. It's unusual. It's the kind of thing our lot might do.
I remember that day very clearly because John Carver was at Plymouth, and they actually played Bladen races over the Tyne when Newcastle won the league. I mean, that was that was a wonderful gesture, George. Wonderful gesture.
Absolutely. It's the sort of thing you remember if you experience it. And for me, my love of football is important, but I like the nice things in football as well. It's not just the nice things for us, but the nice things for others as well. And that Plymouth thing stuck in my mind. As soon as I did this one, I realised that's what I was headed to. But we won. That's the important thing.
Yeah, promotion guaranteed. Where will Newcastle United end up next season? You'll have to wait and see, and wait for the next episode of Those Were the Days. But for now, George, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you.
A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174.
Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.